Have you ever felt that something was wrong in a relationship, but you couldn't quite put your finger on what it was? What if I told you that there is a spiritual influence that could be quietly destroying your love life? Yes, that's right. We're talking about the Jezebel spirit, a force as ancient as the scriptures, but still very much alive today. You might think this is just a story from the Bible, but the truth is, this spirit manifests in many modern relationships, causing destruction and pulling people away from God. Many Christians fall into the trap of ignoring the signs of Jezebel, believing that everything will naturally work itself out. But that's one of the greatest traps. This spirit operates in the shadows, using manipulation, seduction, and control to corrupt what should be sacred. And the scariest part? It could be present in your relationship right now, without you even realizing it. That's why understanding how to identify and protect yourself from this influence is vital for maintaining spiritual and emotional health. But don't worry, because there is a way out. In this guide, we will uncover the mysteries behind the Jezebel spirit, showing you how to identify its presence, resist its influence, and restore God's order in your life. Get ready, because what you are about to learn could save not just your relationship, but also your soul. 1. Identifying the Jezebel spirit in relationships. Recognizing the Jezebel spirit in a relationship is crucial to prevent it from infiltrating and causing deep damage. This spirit operates subtly, often camouflaged by seemingly harmless behaviors that are actually attempts at manipulation and control. A practical example is when someone tries to direct all the couple's decisions, disregarding God's will and imposing their own desires. This may seem like just a strong opinion, but it could be a clear sign of this spirit's presence. As the Bible warns us in Revelation 2 verse 20, Jezebel deceives and leads people away from God's paths. This manipulative spirit doesn't act overtly. It infiltrates in small details, turning what should be a healthy relationship into a web of control and seduction. The person influenced by the Jezebel spirit may use emotional tactics to keep their partner in constant doubt or fear, driving them away from biblical truths and communion with God. Have you ever noticed someone who always makes you feel guilty or insufficient, even when you're doing your best? That might be a sign that something is wrong, and it's essential to be alert to identify these patterns. Moreover, the Jezebel spirit not only tries to control the present, but also undermines the spiritual future of the relationship. It does this by sowing distrust, distorting biblical truths, and eventually drawing people away from God. As Christians, it is our duty to be vigilant, recognize these signs, and seek discernment through prayer and study of God's Word. This empowers us to resist evil influences and protect our relationships from spiritual destruction. This is just the beginning, as understanding Jezebel's destructive influence is the next step in this journey of discernment. 2. The destructive influence of Jezebel's spirit. The influence of the Jezebel spirit in relationships is devastating, causing a downward spiral that can be hard to stop. This spirit operates by creating division and distrust among people, leading to a gradual departure from God's principles. Imagine a situation where a couple, initially united in faith, starts doubting each other, giving in to negative thoughts and words of discord. This is no coincidence, but rather the manifestation of Jezebel trying to undermine the spiritual foundation that keeps the relationship strong and healthy. This evil spirit not only causes division, but also weakens the faith of those involved, making them vulnerable to further spiritual attacks. The person under Jezebel's influence may start questioning biblical truths and drifting away from fellowship with God, replacing obedience with stubbornness, as warned in 1 Samuel 15 verse 23. They may begin to justify behaviors contrary to the Word, all in the name of maintaining an illusion of control over the relationship. This rebellion is an open door for more destruction and spiritual chaos. Drifting away from God and yielding to Jezebel's influences leads to a complete departure from the paths he has planned for life and relationships. The destruction doesn't happen all at once, but gradually, with each small concession and each deviation from the truth. To resist this, it's vital to recognize the signs and take a firm stand, refusing to allow this spirit to continue its destructive influence. But how to resist? This is something we will explore in detail in the next point, where spiritual warfare against Jezebel becomes the focus. 3. Spiritual warfare. How to resist the Jezebel spirit. Resisting the Jezebel spirit requires a firm and conscious approach to spiritual warfare, where faith, prayer, and fasting are the primary weapons. Upon identifying the signs of Jezebel, it is crucial not just to recognize, but also to act immediately. Fervent prayer is one of the first defenses. Imagine praying every day, asking God for discernment to perceive the subtle manipulations and courage to confront them. Prayer is more than just words. It is a shield that protects us from evil spiritual influences, as instructed in Ephesians 6 verse 11. Fasting is also a powerful tool against Jezebel, as it elevates our spirit and strengthens us against temptations and the enemy's schemes. During fasting, we dedicate time to withdraw from worldly distractions and focus on God, seeking His guidance and protection. A practical example would be establishing a weekly fasting period, accompanied by Bible reading and meditation, to break the chains of manipulation and control that Jezebel tries to impose. This helps us keep a clear mind and a heart focused on the Lord, firmly resisting evil influences. In addition to prayer and fasting, being spiritually prepared involves putting on the full armor of God, as mentioned in Ephesians 6 verse 11. This means living a life aligned with biblical principles, being intentional in seeking truth and practicing righteousness. It's not an easy battle, but with persistence and faith, it is possible to neutralize the impact of the Jezebel spirit in your life and relationships. Now that we know how to resist, it's time to understand how to restore divine order in our lives and relationships, something we will explore next. 4. Restoring God's order in your relationships. Restoring God's order in relationships is an essential step in fully breaking free from the influence of the Jezebel spirit. This begins with the conscious removal of everything that feeds this influence, replacing manipulation and control with biblical truth and love. Imagine a couple deciding, together, to pray daily and seek God's word for direction in every decision. This simple act of obedience already begins to break the spiritual chains that Jezebel has tried to establish. Allowing biblical love and truth to prevail requires commitment and persistence. When both partners submit to God, following the guidance of James 4 verse 7, they create an environment where Jezebel cannot thrive. It's like cleaning a house infested with darkness, replacing every dark corner with light and peace. For example, if there's mistrust, why not start practicing radical honesty? If there's manipulation, why not learn to listen and respect God's voice instead of imposing your own? These practices are fundamental to restoring God's order. Finally, maintaining a healthy relationship aligned with divine principles is not just a one-time event, but a lifestyle. This means being constantly vigilant, seeking biblical wisdom in all areas of the relationship. When God's word is the guide, the relationship becomes resistant to negative influences and open to spiritual growth. Now that you understand how to restore this order, the question remains: how will you apply this knowledge to your life? It's time to commit to living according to these principles, standing firm against spiritual attacks. The Jezebel spirit is not something to be underestimated, and protecting yourself from this influence is essential for maintaining your spiritual and emotional well-being. Think about the signs we discussed and the steps you can take today to strengthen your relationships and your faith. Is there any area in your life that needs more vigilance? Any decision you have been delaying, but now realize needs to be made? Remember that spiritual warfare is constant, and staying firm in God's word is the best way to ensure the Jezebel spirit finds no place to act. How about starting today to apply what you've learned? Whether through prayer, fasting, or simply dedicating more time to Bible study, every small step counts. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. The faith community is here to support you. Finally, if this content was helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This way, you will continue receiving more teachings that will strengthen your walk with God and protect your relationships from negative spiritual influences. We are in this together, and your journey to a stronger spiritual life is just beginning.